Okay, tell us who you are.
All right, hello. My name is Sergeant First Class Trino Jesus Zuniga Jr. I'm in the United States Army. I was former infantry, and now I'm a 92 Alpha, which is logistics.
Okay, and tell me about your experience of 9/11.
Um, 9/11 was definitely a big turning point in my life, and even in my career. At that time when 9/11 happened, I was still brand new to the firefighter academy. I was a woodland firefighter in Butte County in Northern California. When the Twin Towers were attacked, when America as a whole was attacked. And that was definitely a turning point. Once that happened, I let my fire chief know, hey, sir, I think I want to join the military and go, go get some payback, for lack of better words. And since I was so new, I did have to put in a minimum of 1 year before they would allow me to transfer out or drop from the academy. So I did have to wait a little bit of time. But other than that, it was fully approved by the fire chief. And yeah, I left the firefighter academy to join the army.
How do you define the war on terror?
Um, the war on terror, mm, it's kind of a vague statement in my opinion. Because it's easy to just kind of point and say, "Oh, hey, there's terrorists over there, so that's where we're going to go fight." Um, and a lot of people don't understand that a majority of the country of Iraq and even in Afghanistan, it's not just full of terrorists. It's not just full of terrorism. They're for the most part actually a very humble, very respectful, and for the most part very docile uh, uh, people, culture. But unfortunately, there are a few radicals out there. There are a few extremists out there that kind of give, give um, that bad image, and that happens every time. This isn't anything new. This happened back, during the World Wars with Germany, the Nazis, things like that. Vietnam War, the Korea War. It kind of paints a negative picture initially of that country or of that culture of those people. So the war on terror, yes, we're looking for terrorists. Yes, we were looking for, weapons of mass destructions. But the war on terror is a very hard thing to actually kind of try to determine in one definition, in my opinion.
Okay, speaking of, tell us about your deployments. How many deployments do you have? Tell
Um,
me a little bit about each.
I do have a total of, I've been overseas 8 times. Four of those have been combat deployments. I fought in, Iraq. I fought in various areas of Afghanistan. I did deploy to Kuwait, and then from there we would do operations out of Iraq, out of Jordan, out of Syria to support various operations. Um, so as an infantryman, the combat side of it was definitely different from the logistics side. Being on the front lines, there's a lot of information that we do get, a lot of intel that we get, and we did a lot of presence patrols just to kind of let the surrounding city or the surrounding areas know, hey, the army's here. We're here to protect you guys. We're looking for the bad guys, basically. Should anything happen, we're going to be here, to make our presence known. Our leaders would always engage with their key leaders, with the elders of the village. There was always a lot of meetings, a lot of information passed back and forth. We did partner with the Iraqi police while we were in Iraq, with the Iraqi National Guard, with the Iraqi army. When we were in Afghanistan, we partnered with obviously the Afghan army. We did partner with the um, ABP, the Afghan Border Patrol as well. So we definitely make sure that we incorporate the nation, the host nation that we're in.
How did your how did your experience of deploying change from the beginning right after 9/11 to just your most recent deployment?
Sorry, there's people, little kids passing by waving at me and stuff with their parents. I'm sorry, repeat that question.
The question was, how did your deployment experience change between right after 9/11 and now, or whatever your most recent deployment was?
Um, that's a good
In the
question because
sense, in the
again,
sense that like how was this how was it different?
No, definitely a good question. Because again, in the beginning, being that I was a fireman and I've seen, excuse me, seeing what happened with 9/11, I was definitely ready to just, drop everything, join the army, go infantry, go in there charging, right? And go in there hard charging, ready to do my mission, ready to, take down the bad guys, you know, basically shoot and destroy everything. And that was kind of the initial killer mentality that I had, especially in my younger years, in the early years of being an infantryman. But then, sorry, I'm choking a little bit. Um, but as I've gotten older, as I've gotten more experience, as I've moved up in my leadership roles, that's when I've gotten a much better understanding of exactly what the mission really is, and what the mission really should be. And so as I've transitioned into higher positions of authority and higher ranks, I've been able to kind of take a step back and really see from the big picture what it is we're trying to accomplish. So that's the biggest difference is coming in coming in and in with that initial kind of mindset of just, hey, there's bad people, we need to find them, we need to take them out, and then kind of stepping back and be like, hey, there's a lot of repercussions when it comes to that. There's a lot of collateral damage that happens when it comes to war, and then being kind of able to understand that a little bit better and take a lot more of a humane approach to it.
Speaking of the big picture, do you think there was a change in the way the military was structured or ran, or how the military worked between each administration that you've been in, the Bush, the Obama, and the Trump? I say,
Definitely.
I say and even I guess even towards the beginning of the Biden administration, since my understanding is that the war on terror officially ended in 2021.
No, definitely. When it was initially, George Bush was our commander in chief. Again, you know, America was devastated. We were devastated. Very, very heartfelt, very angry, very infuriated with what happened. And boom, we wanted immediate, payback. We wanted immediate retaliation. And that's kind of the mentality. Go in, hurt them for hurting us, so to speak. And then as we transitioned out of that, then we went into Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama's time frame. That's when we kind of started to look at it a little bit more from the human aspect. Hey, these are a people as well. Not speaking about the terrorists, Al Qaeda, the Taliban, but Afghanistan, Iraq as a whole. Hey, this is a nation of people. We need to we got to shift kind of our mentality and our mindset. And we were doing kind of coin operations, as it was referred to, COIN, which was counterinsurgency operations, rather than just WMD or that war on terror. And then once President Trump came in as the next commander in chief, again, I would say we kind of got a little bit back into that, that mindset of, kind of, close with and destroy the enemy, which, again, war fluctuates, right? We've been there for like 20 years. Um, and then once Trump uh, was relieved by, current President Joe Biden, our current commander in chief, um, that's when, again, that war on terror kind of ended. And, we kind of officially, unofficially, however you want to look at it, pulled out of Afghanistan. But, we are still there. There's still a presence there. There will always be a presence there because kind of like any infestation, if you don't eradicate the problem from the base, it's always going to come back. So you definitely want to make sure that you kind of stay on top of it. So, yes, it's officially over, but unofficially, it's not over.
So when do you think, if you could choose a time, I suppose, or when do you think they say that the war on terror is over? When do you think that we should have pulled out, if at all?
Um, hmm. I know being there for such a long time is definitely takes its toll. It takes its toll on us as soldiers. It takes its toll on the families. Um, takes its toll on the nation. To have to have your army, your military at war for so long, and then same thing with them. Same thing with Iraq. Same thing with Afghanistan. You know, it definitely takes its toll over time. So that's a tricky question to answer because it's easy to say, hey, we should have just went in there, kind of bombed everything, and then just left. Um, and it's also easy to say, hey, you know what, we should have only been there 5 years, and if just whatever progress we would have made, we should have left. But unfortunately, for the simple fact that they attacked us on American soil, that's what really kind of was the sticking point of, hey, we can't leave here until we feel, quote unquote, that we've done enough, so to speak, because them attacking us on American soil is definitely something we want to avoid in the future.
Okay. So to be more specific on the pullout of America, what are your thoughts on how specifically Afghanistan, the pullout in Afghanistan was handled?
um, Personally, I didn't like the way it was handled. Um, it was way too abrupt. Um, as it's been all over the news, it's not like this is a big secret. I mean, there's nothing classified about a bunch of the information that's out there. You can literally Google it. There was a lot of equipment that was left, things like that, things that the wrong people got their hands on. So I definitely feel it was abrupt and done improperly. But again, I wasn't there when it happened. I'm not the higher command. I don't know what kind of intel they received that made it such a quick exit. But just I know I didn't like the way it happened. I wish it would have been a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical. Pull out in pieces. Pull out part by part. But yeah, it was definitely caught us all off guard when it happened.
Okay. And how do you think the American people's views have changed um on service members in the military since the beginning, right after 9/11 and current day?
Um, I know there was definitely a lot of patriotism in the beginning. Right off the bat, hey, support the soldiers, support the troops. Everyone really kind of rallied behind us. But I was able to see and kind of feel the difference. From 2002 to 2005, it was there. All the way, and then from 2009 to, like, I want to say maybe 2015, it just felt like everybody was just kind of like, oh, you guys are still there. I didn't even know the war was still going on, type of thing. Like, it's almost like I want to say most, but a lot of people that I would kind of come across on the civilian side, the civilian population, a lot of them seemed like they didn't even know like we were still there, like we were still fighting. Like, oh man, I thought that was already over. Um, and then I want to say maybe right around 2017, 2018, that's when I kind of started to feel like that the rally was kind of back again. People kind of like, oh man, the soldiers are still there. The Marines and the sailors, the airmen, not just the soldiers, but the Army soldiers. But I think that's when they kind of like, hey, these guys are still out there. These guys and girls, these service members are still out there. They still need our support, things like that. And then they kind of kick back up again. And as you can see, if you look around, there's a lot of veteran-known places. A lot of American flags, a lot of patriotism. Um, a lot of military preference when it comes to hiring, things like that. So it's good to see that. It's good to see that they're kind of behind us again, kind of supporting us again.
So like you said earlier, Um, you mentioned World War II, and I don't know if you mentioned the Vietnam War, but you mentioned wars in general in the past we've been part of. And right now, you just mentioned how a lot of veterans have um businesses now and there was some patriotism. So do you think the war on terror will have such impact as previous wars like the Vietnam War and World War II?
Um, I think as a people and as a government, we definitely learned a lot from those wars. Um, Especially when it comes to the veterans, when it comes to things like PTSD, those stress disorders, um, mental health. mental health awareness. That's even in schools, even when it comes to kids, you know, and especially to our youth and to the families. That's the biggest thing. Everybody just kind of focused on the soldiers or the service members, rightfully so, rightfully so. But um, it's good to see that they shifted the focus over to the families as well, because your wives, your husbands, your sons, your daughters, you know, um, things like that, grandkids, the extended family, it also takes a toll on them. So it's good to see that that emotional, mental support is definitely there. That's the biggest difference I can see between the other wars and compared to now, especially when it comes to like the Vietnam veterans. I feel very, very bad for the Vietnam veterans. I have a couple family members that were Vietnam veterans, and unfortunately, those gentlemen weren't exactly given the warmest reception when they came back. Um, so it's good to see that we've focused on really kind of helping us out, because you don't just you're in the army, so that means you just got it all together. You got out, boom, you're set in a golden palace with 1,000 acres around you. Like, no, there's a lot that we have to go through just to kind of incorporate back in a civilian life.
Okay, thank you. And my very last question, did your experience from the war make you more proud to be an American or less proud to be an American?
I'm sorry, say that last part again.
Did your experience in the war, the war on terror,
Mm-hmm.
make you more proud to be an American or less proud to be an American? Based off your experience
Um,
deploying from being overseas, like do you have more pride in the fact that you're an American, or do you feel that less proudful, less prideful?
no, definitely more pride. Because there's a lot of things we kind of take for granted, right? The word, taking things for granted, kind of gets thrown around a lot, and losing your freedom, losing your freedom, you kind of learn to really appreciate that. The American way of life. By no means, is America perfect. There's plenty of issues that we need to fix here at home. When it comes to the homeless problem or financial issues, politics, things like that. A bunch of different things that America can definitely work on and improve on. But definitely going to other countries, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Jordan, Syria. I mean, even being in Korea, doing training when, we have soldiers that go over to Poland, different parts of Europe, Italy, all that stuff, Africa, South Africa. There's one thing we all have in common. Like, it definitely makes us all appreciate being American. It makes us appreciate living in America, the American way of life, the American lifestyle, our American values. Um, so it definitely, if anything, it definitely made me prouder to be an American. And definitely made me, no longer take my freedoms for granted. When we have to leave for 9 months or a year or 15 months, to another country, it definitely makes you miss, your home soil, obviously your family, but it feels nice to fly back into the States, and then you just see that, big American flag just, waving in the background. It's always an awesome sight.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. That's all the questions I have. And if you have any closing remarks or thoughts on the war or anything, now would be the time to let me know.
Um, No, not really. Again, it's going to be different for everybody. Every single soldier, depending on your job, your MOS, what year you joined, what rank you were, how many times you deployed, whether you deployed or not. There's a lot of soldiers nowadays that haven't even deployed. They've never experienced, an actual war. Um, so everyone's opinion on the war on terror is going to vary, is going to change. So that, I leave that up to each and every person. The only thing I will just leave everybody with is, again, for those who do support us, thank you very much. It's definitely not easy. It's definitely not easy in our families. And for those who, don't support us, who feel, hey, you shouldn't be there in the first place, blah, 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 things like that. Just remember that, it's a job we do, and the freedom that you have to be able to give your opinions is protected by us. Keep that in mind.
Okay, thank you.